Hello, hello. We are talking here tonight. We're talking about a full moon. We got the full moon in Gemini. So this represents an ending because it's the end of a cycle. It's a full moon. And that's just the natural flow of cycles. That's just the way it happens, right? Gemini energy tells you what are we ending? And in your chart, when you see like where the full moon happens, like what house your Gemini energy is, or more specifically, where those degrees that I'm going to give for the full moon, right? There's going to be a date. I'll give you the date and then I'll give you the degrees that the full moon happens at. So it's going to be a 2-degree orb, right? And I'll explain what that is when we get into the video. But all you got to do is find your Gemini energy. Find out where those degrees are in your chart. And that will tell you where the full moon occurs in your life. So the sign is the what? Ending of what? Gemini energy. Write down all the Gemini keywords. Remember, Mercury is the ruler. So write down everything you know about Mercury. Write down everything you know about Gemini. And then you look for the house that it's in. So I'm going to point those things out on this chart real quick. And we'll kind of take a deep dive, sort of a deep dive into what this will mean. So let's see if we can get the chart to come on up. There is your full moon in Gemini energy. The date of the full moon, November 27th. Look at that, November 27th. I think I know someone who's got a birthday the day before that. I could be wrong. For someone who's an astrologer, yeah, you think I would be really good with birthdays, but yeah, it's what the date means, and all that surrounding energy. But the dates, I'm not super great at keeping track of whose birthday is when. So yeah, there it is. There's your full moon event, and it's going to be in the sign of, where's it at? Sagittarius. I'm sorry, Gemini. I just kind of did it backwards because that's the way my brain works. The sun is in Sagittarius at 4:51 because when a full moon happens, we know that the sun and the moon are at opposite ends of each other. The sun's over here in Saggy. The moon then will be over here in Gemini. And now we're going to let my brain get back to the beginning instead of going backwards, which is what it does. 4:51, there's your full moon. You see that? 4:51. So that's the exactness. Moon at 4:51, sun at 4:51. You see? So it's an ending because it's a full moon, ending of a cycle. And that's every full moon we have. It's perfectly natural. It's nothing to freak out about. It's just what it is. Now, we have to kind of take a look at Gemini energy. So we'll talk through it a little bit here. Okay. Gemini energy is going to be about, think of coworkers and siblings and neighbors. Think of friends, but people who are more like maybe not necessarily best buds, but people that you see maybe even throughout the neighborhood, people you're familiar with, like acquaintances, people you talk to, people online, acquaintances. I know in today's world, we might think we're best friends with people online, but if it's people we've never met, sometimes it's like we just don't really know until you meet somebody, right? Online presence and online communications. I know a lot of people start up relationships, whether it's online and writing and talking and whatever. But until you truly meet somebody and get involved in their life, you know them a little bit more deeper, right? Because the online stuff can be deceiving at times. It can be tricky, trickster energy. That's Mercury, trickster energy. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be trickster as in like, ooh, I am deceiving you and I'm doing it on purpose, although some people can be that way. But it's tricky just because it's the nature of the energy. It can be tricky because it is all about duality. It's like, I hear what you said, and I hear what you said, and I hear what you said, and now here's my opinion, and I agree with that one, and I agree with that one, and I even said I agreed with that one, but then here's the new one that I agree with, right? And it's to an outsider or to your friend or whoever having a discussion, it might seem like the thing you said you agreed with, is the exact opposite of the other thing you said you agreed with. So it's a very contradictory, very contrarian type of energy. It's Gemini. And the beauty of that, I always get the visual of the owl with Gemini energy. Because the owl can spin its head, right? It gives us that appearance that it's like doing that 360-degree spin, and it sees all those perspectives. So it's not necessarily that one is right or one is wrong. It's perspective, it's views, but it's also the way I think and talk and communicate and relate. So it can be gossipy kind of energy if it's not cautious, because it loves to consume information, it loves to share it. And it's very quick. It's Mercury. Mercury has wings. It's very quick. And what happens when we share something fast? We don't even know if the shit's legit, and we're sharing it as though it's right out of God's mouth, right? And so we always have to be cautious and slow down when we're dealing with Gemini energy, right? We kind of always have to like do the due diligence thing and go back and double check, triple check our sources and just be certain. And I know it's hard because we're like, but my sister told me that. It's got to be true. She never would have said that if it wasn't true, right? And so we feel like, oh, I can share that. Or my coworker said this. It's got to be true, right? Or, yeah, this can be teacher energy too. My teacher said this, so it's got to be true. And so this isn't to like point fingers at people and be like, hey, people are lying to you or being personally deceiving. It's not so much about that. It's the different perspectives. It's the contrarian ideas and the contrarian beliefs and the way our brain works and our thoughts. It's how we think. Mercury rules Gemini, how we think. So an ending to the way that we think, talk, relate, and communicate. I will add, this is a big time social media thing. The sign of Gemini is social media. So perhaps, I don't know, an ending to a platform or ending to a certain way of working on that platform, or just something that has to do with the way that we share information. We go press that send button, right? There's an ending of a cycle here. All right. Now, the thing is the degrees. I mentioned it before, and I said I would point it out, 451. So you're looking for your Gemini energy. That's the sign of Gemini. There's the big one. I'll go like that. Same thing. There's Gemini. And it's at 451, which is technically 5 degrees. So we're going to give a 2-degree orb. And if a 2-degree orb, that means it's 2 degrees before 5 and 2 degrees after 5. So that's between 3 and 7 degrees of Gemini energy. Between 3 and 7. And that would mean that you've got something. And that's what you're looking for in your chart. You want to go find your Gemini energy and see if you have anything between 3 and 5 degrees of Gemini. And that would include a house cusp line, right? You want to see if you do. So for example, on this chart, look closely at this chart. This is the ascendant. That's the eastern horizon on the chart is the ascendant. Okay. Other chart systems, the way they're drawn up, the colors, they may look slightly different. So I would recommend, if you don't have a chart and you're watching my videos, ask me for one of the charts so that I can get your birth chart to you so it matches so it looks the same design, the same color. It's just one less thing to decipher when you're trying to follow along on the videos at home, right? So this chart, the first house cusp line, begins at 4 degrees and 57 minutes. You see that? Yeah. You see the line with the arrow? There's the arrow. It's pointing at Gemini, 4 degrees, 54 minutes. That's 5 degrees. So if this was your chart, I would say that you're having the full moon in Gemini on your ascendant, on your rising and ascendant, same words. You're having the full moon, but it's on your ascendant. It's exactly just about. It's only off by a few minutes, 51 and 54. So that would be a huge deal if this was someone's chart. It's like it's an ending. Now, what does the ascendant mean? Well, it's kind of like the first house keywords, right? So understanding the keywords for the location, for the house number, will be important to look at and to know, to be able to decipher. So the first house keywords are going to be your appearance, right? For some people, Gemini energy, You can look like a teacher. You can look, white collar worker, someone who has to go to work dressed up. These are people who kind of have a professional look to them. Maybe glasses are involved, studious even, because Gemini is all about learning, loves to learn. This is somebody who might be considered smart or has a fast mind, somebody who is good enough to track the details and the details and the data. This is news and news anchor people, but now in the day of social media, we're all we all have kind of become our own homegrown reporter energy, supposedly, right? Or our version of that. And so we can just drive around town with our camera on, and we're basically delivering news in the community then. Even if we're not saying anything, right? Even if we're not literally on the camera is showing the different views. Hold on a second. I think I got it. You're going to look for those degrees in your chart, 451, and actually just follow my lead with the 3 to 7 degrees. The 3 to 7 degrees will then give you a little bit of a space, right? Because you may have something, say you have something at 6. Yeah, that would be part of this. Say you have something at 4, 5, 6, right? Or 3 even, or 7. Yes, that's part of this full moon. So it's an ending, a closure, and release, right? So if it's somebody's first house, again, their physical body and their appearance typically. Sometimes it can be the location of your body as well. Now, when we look across from it, remember the sun and the moon are oppositions. So the sun is going to be exactly opposite of the moon here. And so that's in Saggy. That's in Saggy at the same degrees. And oddly enough, at this time, I think it's really fascinating. Remember, the sun is masculine energy, can be an authority figure. Mars is part of this. You see Mars at 2. Mars is at 206. So Mars, it's not at 3 degrees. Normally we say a 2-degree orb, but it is at 2 degrees. And if you have something in your chart like at 3, whether it's in Gemini or Sagittarius, Mars will be close enough to that planet that's sitting right here in between. You see, so it will then become involved for you if you've got something there. But now look us, 451, 453. We've got other objects here in Saggy. And so what is Saggy going to be talking about? What's it highlighting? It's wisdom. It's Sagittarius. It's wisdom. It's truth. It's freedoms. It's the judicial system. It's judges. It is philosophy on life. It's religion. It's foreigners, foreign lands, foreign countries, foreign languages. It's the seer. You might get some information early, right? Like you may have dreams or visions. So we call people who get that kind of information, they're the seer. That's Sagittarius energy. Talking to God, Sagittarius energy. These are preachers and teachers, but teachers normally like extended education, right? It's not the grade school teachers typically, like Gemini energy, or teaching people who are younger than us, who are pretty young. But yeah, Saggy is definitely people who are, extended education. They're in college or the postgraduate work, stuff like that. Sagittarius, or it even could be something that's like I go and do teaching to people, and it can be done in spiritual ways, right? So what does that mean? Well, think of the different religions. Think of spirituality in general. I think of the Native Americans, deeply spiritual people. Spiritual people in with the earth and understanding the unity. Think of that unity, because that's Jupiter, the unity, right? Not the divisiveness, not the details, but the big picture, the unity. That's Sagittarius energy. So we think of the justice system, we think of truth, we think of freedoms, and we think of wisdom, but we also, the explorer and searching. That's Saggy, searching. So that may be highlighted for you in your life. And that will be at the exact opposite end of the full moon, which is over there between 3 to 7 degrees in Gemini. A closure and an ending to a cycle in terms of your thoughts, the way that you think. This is also the writer energy. It is the scribe energy. One other thing I wanted to touch on real quick here is Mercury, because Mercury is also in Saggy still. You see that? Mercury in Saggy at 2440. This means we see that Mercury is going to be getting close to the galactic center. 2440, the rule, what would this be actually then? This would actually be 25 degrees. So technically, it's already conjunct the galactic center. This is a point of need. It is a need, not a want, not a desire, like I have great needs. These are global. These are big time on a large scale needs. It's the galactic center. Think of it as the giant Hoover up in the sky, sucking in everything around it, right? It's a point of need. And if Mercury's there, it's news and information, something we're going to be hearing about anytime Mercury and the galactic center get close to one another. And to understand a little bit better what that might be about, well, especially if it's for you in the private world, you got to look at the degrees and the house numbers. Okay. So, other thing across from Mercury is Black Moon Lilith. You see her there? She's at 2333. So, just the day before, Mercury was squaring Black Moon Lilith in Virgo. Black Moon Lilith in Virgo. Virgo energy is service. How do I serve in a practical, tangible way, a down to earth way, right? Things that aren't real flashy, can be the mundane, can be cleaning, but can be alternative health, food, things about the earth, things that are holistic. Think Virgo energy, thinking about, Mercury squaring that, and it's Black Moon Lilith and our shadow side. There could be some adverse communications. There could be, because Virgo can be a very a critical thinker, but also a critical critiquer as well. And critiquing is really important. It's how we learn. It's how we get better at what we do. It's when it comes without the benefits of, hey, I was thinking, like, here's a way I saw so and so do or say this. It was really effective. Something simple and short, and not pinpointing somebody's shortcomings and being like, God, you suck when you do that. There's a different way we can use our words. Mercury. So Mercury is highlighted in a lot of ways at this time. You see, we got Mercury opposing Mercury because we got Mercury over here in Saggy at the time. Mercury's in Saggy at the time of this energy. And then we've got the highlight of a full moon in Gemini energy. And yes, you can't talk about Gemini energy without talking about Mercury, Neptune. Neptune is at the opposite end of Black Moon Lilith during this time. And I think this is actually a huge benefit because Neptune is quite powerful. And Neptune takes on a more spiritual, or more understanding and forgiving. Understanding and forgiveness is what we are really tuned into here. You see, it's a Neptune in red, so it's retrograding. It's been retrograding, but it's opposite of Black Moon Lilith, right? Which means it's creating a T-square with Mercury and Black Moon Lilith and Neptune. You see that? So this may be some beneficial energy for some, especially since the Black Moon Lilith energy is going to kind of be dimmed a little bit because Neptune has the ability to dissolve the Black Moon Lilith's ability to be overly critical in Virgo, right? How do we talk about the details and the differences and the disagreements without trying to gouge someone's eyes out, right? Without trying to be harmful, with being mindful, basically, being mindful of how we communicate. I hope this helps. I got a cat banging on my door. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for your time. And if you're still here, take care. Bye-bye. So below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.